As I watch my youngest son grow, I can't help but wonder what type of man he'll become. Although I don't have a crystal ball, I see breadcrumbs being laid down by this little dude. These breadcrumbs do give me small glimpses into his future self. And to say I am proud is a grave understatement. His love for learning new things is insatiable. Every new topic he approaches is like a new little adventure for him, an exclusive journey that he is privileged to witness. That is why this new chapter is so important to the both of us. His initial exposure to the firearms culture. To articulate why this means so much to me, I feel that I should add some pertinent context.
According to the U.S. Bureau of the Census, almost 1 out of 5 Dade County residents is living below the poverty level. A recent congressional study placed Miami 7th worst among 39 cities.
Witnesses say it sounded like a war. Car windshields were shot out as far as 1 block away.
I grew up in South Florida in the 80s and 90s, where the majority of the Hispanic community looked at firearms as solely a tool for the wicked. To most Hispanics, inalienable rights were about as common as hotels on Mars.
We hope that in the course of that, we're going to be able to make a dent in the general concern for and serious problem of violent crime in South Florida.
My parents never understood how to nurture this curiosity and were worried I was either going to become a gang member one day or a drug dealer. Due to all of these factors, I never got to shoot a gun until I was a grown man. By then I was already close to leaving for boot camp, and I was hoping to play catch-up so I would know how the damn thing worked. Once I did, though, I was smitten. I'll never forget it. It was a lever-action 30-30. After that, I went non-stop, and it ended up helping me create a career in the firearms industry. As all those same memories swam through my head, I was brought back into present day, where my little boy wants to learn about these very same tools that intrigued me so much when I was his age. That is when I made a solemn oath that it would be different this time around. And this time, I could do it better than most. I would be doing it as a 16-year-plus subject matter expert in the firearms industry. I would be able to teach him everything there is to know about them, how they are designed, manufactured, modified, even wielded. Also, responsibly cared for. My only dilemma would be where to start when it would come time to get him started with his first hunting rifle. There are so many wonderful options. However, I couldn't just build him any old good enough platform. I would build him something that he could depend on, grow into, and maybe even compete with one day. Shit. I'll build him a motherfucking MK12 Mod 0. My son would learn to hone his craft on one of America's most prolific precision ARs. It also has a ton of supporting data behind it, and he'd be learning about custom platforms from the one that started it all back in 1999. Let's fucking go. Hey guys, I'm Gabriel Cabrera and welcome to the Promethean group. Right here behind me, you see a well-built MK12 Mod 0 that I built for my son Zachary. This is going to be his first hunting rifle, and hopefully, long-term, he even decides to compete with it, right? So what we're going to do now with these 150 rounds of 77 grain Black Hills OTM, we're going to go to the range, we're going to shake it loose, and we're going to see if it's ready when he's ready to take his first shots. Ultimately, guys, talk is cheap and I could sell it by the pound, right? The proof is about to be shown to you. So, if you got a couple extra minutes to burn and brain cells to sacrifice for the cause, follow me on this beautiful journey where we're gonna see if we're full of it or we may have unlocked something. And that guy's gonna help us. So on the way to the range, as I mentioned, there's a special subject matter expert, not enthusiast, that I've reached out to in this case for this project. Gentleman goes by the name of Chris Curtis. He is a South Florida law enforcement officer, tactical officer at that, and also known in the industry under his company Tactical Human Performance. You've seen him probably in more than a few podcasts. The guy is literally a beast at what he does, and also just a tall dude. Part of his background is he is a subject matter expert in precision shooting, being that he is one of the head instructors for his agency and his SWAT team. So we're going to meet him here at Homestead Training Center, which is my home range, and we're going to put this platform through its paces. The real key here is accuracy all the way around, and consistency is accuracy. If a project is a pass, cool. What else can we do to make it better, or what do we need to do to keep that platform at peak performance, whether it's maintenance intervals, replacement parts, and how to source them, when to change them out. We will refer to a lot of the manuals and mil spec for these platforms, because good people that are way smarter than us have figured this out years ago. Who are we to really change things unless there are certain parameters that can bring about a better, more enhanced version of that same platform? Great example, the MK12 Mod 0 is almost 25 and a half years old as of the filming of this video. There are most definitely some parts that have come about that are way better than what was used at that time. Good example are the parts that I've used for componentry on the lower receiver and upper receiver, forward controls design, which is something I want to cover. Roger and the team over there have killed it throughout the years. Some folks really just, get up in arms about paying a certain amount of money for, small little parts, but I look at it as cheap insurance to make sure that these platforms are going to run. Are they aesthetically pleasing? Of course. Roger is a true engineer. You'd be surprised how little, I can fit in one hand, actual engineers we have in this industry, and he is one of them. So I'd gladly give him my money any day of the week, like I have for this project, to ensure that this will last, and not just for myself, but for the main person sitting in the back seat that this platform was built for. I want to be able to look at this 20 years from now and say, this concept is 45 years old at this point, and this grown man who was a kid when I built it is still running it hard. So here we go, guys. We're getting to the range, and we're about to see if everything that we've theorized actually pans out. All right, guys, we are here, Homestead Training Center. Like I said, I had a surprise for you guys, an actual subject matter expert. I know, that's rare air in YouTube nowadays, but lo and behold, we found one. Not only is he a man of many talents, good personal friend, Chris Curris. There's a very few things this man doesn't know, and I've always relied on him for his expertise, and vice versa. Anytime he's had questions on builds, it's a back and forth. So don't be surprised if you see him, in future videos. There is a small group of folks that I rely on, who I know that anytime I reach out to them, they've done their research, they know their shit. And if they don't know, they're gonna seek it out, right? And that's the whole idea behind the Promethean group. This is part of the Promethean group, right? So Chris, if you mind kind of running everybody up to speed on who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is Chris Curris. Been friends with Gabe for a long time. He's been a great friend and mentor. Currently a law enforcement officer in South Florida. I've been on SWAT for about 8 years. Sniper as well. And I've gone down the rabbit hole pretty deep on everything industry related, pretty much. Knowing the ins and outs and wanting to chase knowledge and chase the best products and try to find solutions. I own a training company called Tactical Human Performance, and also a products company that's launching this January 25. That's going to be breaching tools, nylon products, stuff like that. Nothing really gun related, but stuff for the end user. All
designed by you, based off of your actual time on duty, shit that you've seen, not shit that you plucked from some 30-second reel, right?
Things that I wish I had, and I was so frustrated with them the industry not providing the solution, so I created my own.
this man has reached an apex where he's designing solutions for other people. I'm always amazed to see what he's gonna do next. Why don't you tell him about your new pet project on competitive shooting, like you weren't already doing enough?
Probably the last couple of years, I have a good buddy who got me into competition shooting, or practical shooting has gotten more popular. At the end of the day, I think law enforcement officers stray away from competition shooting because it's not tactical. I've found that the worlds really overlap more than people think. And just because you're shooting a piece of cardboard, it's a stressful shooting environment because of the pressure, the beep of the timer going off, you're in front of your peers. The puzzle of trying to shoot the arrays in the right order and be good is like that simulated stress and problem solving that I think officers need to take advantage of. And I've been pushing it very heavily at my agency and my team, and they've taken to it very well. A lot of really good shooters have evolved through that curriculum, and I'm really proud of it. And I'm not the one who thought of it. A lot of guys have been doing it for decades, but I think it's really gaining a lot of momentum right now. So we're about to start the zeroing process and test out a variety of different ammos. The control is going to be the Black Hills 77 grain. We're going to be measuring every round with the Garmin to get the velocities and checking the standard deviations. The goal is to find something to match what the platform was designed for, around that 270 or 2750 to 2783. We also have some MagTech 77 grain, IMI 77 grain, Spear Gold Dot 62, and your regular 556, or I'm sorry, your regular 55 grain ammo as well. And although the platform is going to be controlled with the Black Hills, we'd still want to see what everything else does and how it performs.
Trigger breaks clean, good reset, all the controls work how they're supposed to, and we're starting to see a pattern here with the velocity. Obviously at first, we started seeing very low numbers, but Chris will tell you here that once a barrel starts getting fouled and a little copper fouling starts building up, right, it starts increasing some velocity. You start seeing the velocity kind of go up, especially with that IMI. That 77 grain was actually pretty impressive with an average of 2755.4 during the second volley of fire. The first round, first volley of fire was with the Black Hills at a 2718.5. But two things, that IMI is probably moving a little bit faster than they advertised, and also we're starting to see some copper fouling as we're moving into this. These were just some intermittent little groups that we shot to finish up the sight-in, and now we're actually going to do the 3 different round, 3 shot per shooter group to see how the accuracy holds. We already put it through a 2-minute cooling cycle, and Chris is the first one at bat. He's going to go prone so he has more control over it, because that thing is built about as good as the Democratic Party right now. So he's going to go prone, he's going to put it to work.
Here are the results from our 3 volleys that we shot. Our Black Hills, probably about a 1-inch group. I felt the low one pull a little bit, but still I'm happy with that. The IMI, very hot rounds, but very accurate. I felt that one pull with a really bad trigger prep, but these 4 rounds I'm very, very happy with. And then MagTech, their velocity is kind of, deviations are bouncing a little all over the place. So I'm curious how it does at distance, but at 100 yards, again, not bad. Slight changes. Obviously we were zeroed for Black Hills, so everything's inside the X, can't really complain about it. We did 2 minutes in between each volley, and with the suppressor getting a little hot with the baffle design, the newer flow style cans are definitely cool a little quicker, but The Mirage starts to mess with you a little bit, but at 100 yards, it's not too much of an issue. So the 2 minutes of cool down time, not only for the rifle, but with the suppressor definitely helps.
On the top target, 77 grain, we started with that one. I was kind of fighting the Mirage a little bit. You can tell I pulled here and I pulled there. I was trying to split the difference on what I would see in between the waves. Obviously a 2 minute cooldown period, but again, that baffle stack design for that older can. On the MagTech, this shit's flying and it's pretty damn consistent. And even with the heat and Mirage and everything that I was experiencing, tight little group here. I think, I know I pulled this one. I think I pulled this one as well in between the waves. And then the IMI, same thing here, and then pull. This one was a straight up pull, and that was Mirage because it was closer to this little centerline group. But if we are going to do a pinpoint, we're still within MOA on all of these. This is the only one that we got a flyer, but if we still counted it, it's probably within an inch and a half. So far, we did a few things. We were able to get it sighted in. We did our grouping, right, which we talked about downrange, and we tracked our initial velocity across the board, not just with Black Hills, which is our control ammo, but also with IMI, MagTech, and I think you even shot a little bit of 62 grain, or?
Yeah, I have some.
Yeah, so we're gonna throw that into the mix later on, but we did hit our goal of surpassing the velocity goal from 2750 to 2783. There were some that were 2853, 2831, and it goes on from there. We're gonna log these down. But even the averages, when you start looking, you know, there wasn't really a point where it sank too low. And as we talked about earlier, as we started fouling up that bore, it's a thing, right? It can get to a point, he can talk about that for days as much as he's seeing. It does get to a point where a barrel does need to be reset, and you can use Sweet's copper solvent or something like that. And then there's more to that theory. There's so many times that you can reset your barrel before, hey, it's time to change it, right? But I think we don't have to worry about this with a 5.56 semi-auto until like 15-something thousand rounds. No. We should still see within MOA performance. But what are your thoughts on this, Chris, so far?
The gun performed really well with the varieties of ammo. The accuracy shows that it's very capable, very well built. So I'll give you kudos on that. With the performance that you're going to see with the deviations of ammo, it can be frustrating, and there's definitely a million points of view on the internet and from some very seasoned shooters that'll say, don't worry about the copper, stuff like that. All of my mentors that I've been blessed to have recommend cleaning that out when you start seeing performance drop. So if your groups start to open up, you need to start diagnosing, and that's usually the case that I've seen in precision shooting. So I would definitely recommend paying strict attention to your logbooks with your velocities. You'll start to see differences. Your accuracy may start to suffer, things like that. If it's not human error and it's the performance of the gun, that might be the solution. But we can definitely do another talk on that another time.
Right, so that deciding factor is either accuracy, degradation, or inconsistency in velocity before you do your first real clean reset. Yeah. So let's say we're done setting this gun up. Is there any type of cleaning that you'd recommend, or, you know, none, right? So
leave it, and when we do more performance shooting with it and pushing its limits a little bit harder, we're gonna keep it oiled, we're gonna take care of it. These guns are designed for the military, for guys to push them really extreme uses, so we're gonna mimic that as best we can. We're not gonna baby it, because I don't think it was designed to do that. So we're gonna see if it has any failure points, they'll show themselves.
Cool, all right, you heard it. Let's keep going.
right, buddy. So it's empty right now, so it's not gonna go bang. There's no loud noises. But we're gonna do what we call dry fire. Okay, so get this little buttstock right into you.
Okay.
Okay. Look through this right here. Can you see the crosshairs that are going up and down?
Yeah.
Okay. Can move the gun around so those crosshairs, the middle of it, is on that white piece of steel.
It's on it.
It's on it?
Yeah.
Okay. So take your big finger right here, reach around. Don't let that crosshair move off that white piece of steel, and slowly squeeze that trigger while you're looking through the glass. Okay, there you go. That's all that's gonna happen. Good right there. Beautiful. You ready to shoot?
Yeah.
All right, let's give it a try. Hold it steady, slowly squeeze that trigger. Beautiful. Keep going. And we're empty. All hits.
The steel is wobbly like if it's in a video game.
Yeah, but it's real life, and you're way cooler than a video game.
How does it feel?
It felt good.
Yeah? You feel accurate?
Mm-hmm.
It's ready?
Yeah.
Now you...
First miss out of like 40 rounds.
What do you think? Yeah? You like it?
Yeah.
Go give Mr. Chris a hug.
Come here, buddy. Come on, jump. There it is.
Well, I felt kind of bad when I missed one, but I got the rest. I did 3 magazines. One part of it is that it didn't give me that much thrust. It didn't push me back that much, which is good. I'm very proud by Dad building that gun for me.
All right, guys. Here we are. We're at the end of kind of a shakedown. You know, checking out how the platform performed. We tested it through multiple different, setups. So we did, again, the 100-yard, we learned a lot there. Here in a shorter bay, we learned a couple different things, especially practicality, which I'll get to in a second. And Zachy was able to take his first shots, and he was able to hit it. I think I hit my points that I had in my head, and then you can talk about your points. My initial points were obviously for just historical, purposes. I really wanted them to start off with a platform that there's so much information out there for, and it's a sliding scale. We can always build or upgrade this to meet certain things. The recoil, I think, was on point. We saw him here at about 50 yards, nailing that half-size skill target consistently in the same spot. He felt comfortable enough to get behind it. The controls were in the right place. The trigger was light enough to where he can comfortably, maneuver everything. The safety worked well. The grip worked, where he can kind of grow into it, and it kind of gives him a palm and shelf and for his thumb and everything else. His length of pull, he obviously can grow into that, but it's not so far out there that, he can't reach the controls. Obviously he shot it on a table and it's improvised here for the purposes of us being at the range, but You know, one of the things I'm looking into is getting him a nice little tripod setup, whether we're shooting leisurely, father and son in the future, or, you know, again, when he finally gets into the point that he can hunt with it, small game, stuff like that. Obviously, FA556 Surefire can is a legacy can. It's gassy. We saw that. Even then, with all that gas, the system wasn't being overran. We didn't have too much of an increased bolt carrier speed. We had good buffering. All the controls worked as they did, and that's why I used the small parts from Ford Controls Design to make sure that if there were any failure points, it wasn't going to be those. So that helped a lot. So that's another checklist. And I mean, nothing shook loose. Everything worked as it should. I mean, more on the technical side, what did you see, Chris?
Ejection pattern is what I'm always looking for in a new build. It was consistent in the right direction. It is a legacy build. Like I said, the suppressor, we've got better suppressor technology. The little things that you did add, I think, are better than mil spec, which make it a more reliable platform as well. Things to add into the future will be a nice 2-point sling. If you wanted to, an offset red dot at 12 or the 45, of course. I'm a big fan of the 12 o'clock dot. Shooting 3 power at 50 yards can be frustrating. Yeah. He did a fantastic job. He knew how to line it up. His eye relief was perfect. And he'll grow into the platform. It's as big as he is right now. Yeah. But starting him young does not hurt at all. Even knowing how to prep a trigger, yeah. Like he knocked it out of the park. And I think he's gonna grow to love this thing every single day because it's just a fun gun. And it's cool to see the genesis from this and how it's evolved throughout time in the industry and military and law enforcement, and how these platforms have grown to have different faces, but at the end of the day, they're all pretty much based off of this. So it's fun for me because I'm a history nerd, and I think it's really cool. And I appreciate it. I know he does. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, and I can't thank you enough for all the help and, you know, coming in and sharing this very, very special moment, which, you know, it's hitting right here, right now, you know. So I think you're right, especially on the practicality side with that Mod Navy drill. You know, you're looking at this video and you're thinking, well, why'd you put on the backup iron sights? I kind of did everything to prove a point, right? Because there's an element of folks that are historians as well, and I love that, but there is a fine line that you want to be cognizant of, right? That way, if you end up on one side or the other, you at least know you get what you get and you don't get upset. If you stay on the historical path and stick with the parts that were available at that time and the build lists and configuration like these, well, it's not very practical to take this scope off that's already been set, torqued, and everything else just for the purpose of doing stuff up front, right? So these are what they are. They are emergency sights. If you fell off the side of a mountain or whatever, right, and this is toast, well, you at least have some means of sighting. Now, for practical purposes, like we're talking about, I may look into an offset red dot, which I'm not necessarily a fan of, because at least top dot, it's a little bit more instinctual, and it's ambidextrous. You know, so I think that's something that we're going to have to look at. I would like to get a shroud for the suppressor, right? We had a lot of scope mirage at 100 yards. By the time that I shot the platform, it was a struggle. I'm not going to lie. As far as componentry inside, everything works as it should. I don't think I'm going to touch anything there. I'm going to clean it. I don't want it getting carbon locked because these cans do introduce a lot of gas back into the system, which, you know.
Yeah, and humidity down here definitely loves that buildup.
Yeah, and that carbon is going to end up kind of gluing that bolt into the chamber area. I don't want to do that. So besides that, I think tripod, some sort of, you know, maybe pig saddle or something like that to attach to it, suppressor shroud, offset red dot, sling of some sort, and, I mean, set it and forget it on this one. What do you think, Zachy?
It was good.
Feels good?
Yeah.
Would you give it a thumbs up? All right, guys, I appreciate it. I can't thank you enough for sharing this very special moment with me. I will tell you, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share it. This is a homegrown project. This is something that's meant to feed the culture, not feed our pockets. We are true industry back-end folks. We're not content creators for the sake of creating content and getting clout. And it's not to throw shade, but it's to show that there is an alternative, and maybe this little idea that's kindling right now catches fire and it spreads, because at the end of the day, let's be honest, we're all in this culture together, and it's going to be up to us to make sure that in the ambulatory state that it's in right now, right, we're aware of it, and we can all pitch in and make sure that this generation is at least starting off on a good foot forward, and we can rest assured that it's going to keep on living on. So thank you.